Okay, stewards appeal. After Abu Dhabi 2021, Mercedes did an appeal to the stewards of the race, appealing the fact that the governing body had broken the rules of the sport. So, it was a valid appeal, and yet the stewards dismissed it. They had no right to dismiss it, so that was entirely corrupt. Before the stewards appeal, though, this is something that we're missing out. Okay, let me just play you this again. If you've just seen my recent videos, you've seen this one before.
And then the chaos and controversy of Abu Dhabi.
Chaos and controversy. It's confusing.
One lap to decide the championship. If the final safety car had stayed out the regulated number of laps.
If the final safety car had stayed out the regulated number of laps,
Lewis would have been an 8-time world champion.
Lewis would have been an 8-time world champion. Absolutely right, Martin. Now, what did you say at the time? Rewind. When the crowd say Bo, selector. Let's have a listen.
Of all the drama, of all the controversy, of all the magic moments in Formula 1 in 2021, it comes down to this. And at this moment, it looks like it's going to go the way of Max Verstappen. Mercedes not happy. Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
Oh.
Lewis Hamilton.
Crofty's not saying anything about the safety car not staying out the regulated number of laps, is he? Crofty's excited about Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world. Cheers, Crofty.
Finishes in second place after leading for so long, but these last moments are going to be talked about.
You didn't say that he was denied a record-breaking 8th world championship, did you, Crofty?
And this might not be the end of the matter, because Mercedes are furious.
This might not be the end of the matter, because Mercedes are furious. Okay? Is it just Mercedes that are furious, or should every fan of the sport who is a fan of the sport, okay, not a strap-on fanboy, not one of these new children that's been attracted to the sport for the excitement because it's a highly technical, fast-paced sport, as Martin, and it's really complicated, and that's what excites the kiddies. No, those of us actually know what it's about, yeah?
Much as the
or at least thought we did until we realised it's all a contrivance. But anyway, we'll carry on.
Fans, oh my Lord, it's fabulous.
So again, we've got these Red Bull personnel who have got no integrity, no authenticity. Celebrate a gift.
Yes! Oh my God!
Any sporting competitor that celebrates something like that in that manner, they're not a sporting competitor.
Yes! Oh my God!
You couldn't make it up, could you? There's going to be...
Yes, you could, Martin. You could make it up, because you did make it up. You know, you were making it up 3 times. 3 times you told us everything. Everything you reinforced to us 3 times. Oh, what jeopardy. This is where Max's much fresher tyres will light up on any kind of restart. There's bound to be a couple. So, will they let the lap runners through? It's not mandatory, but that's usually on a wet day. And if they do, how long will they wait? They'll all get blue flags, of course. All the lapped cars are not going to be allowed through. That will leave Max with a lot to do. All of it bullshit. All of it bullshit.
Be so much acrimony going forward now about that procedure at the end. Red Bull.
So Brundle can say there will be so much acrimony. What he can't tell you is that's not right. that you have just seen is not right. It's not in accordance with the rules of the sport. Okay, they didn't perform the mandatory safety car lap, which it has to perform. That race had to finish behind a safety car. They're going to have to reinstate that back to the end of the previous lap, or the end of lap 56, which was the last valid lap. Brundle can't tell you that. That's not on Brundle's pay scale, is it? No, Brundle's paid to lie and validate it to us all. He's part of the fraud.
Played every card they could.
Oh, we're playing the cards again. Who's got the cards this time?
Because they hadn't got enough speed, they hadn't got track position. They played it really smart.
How is that playing it really smart, Martin? It's not, is it? It's only playing it really smart if you know what's going to happen. It's not playing it really smart, though, is it?
Mercedes played it cautious out front, but...
Mercedes played it cautious. Mercedes didn't gamble on the race director breaking the rules of the sport and therefore potentially losing track position on the gamble that the race director was going to break the rules of the sport to set up something to excite the kiddies at the end. Oh, that means they were cautious, does it, Martin?
To release the lap cars and end the safety car and give us one racing lap. Wow, how quick.
Wow. So, let's go back to this, Martin.
And then the chaos and controversy of Abu Dhabi.
One lap to decide the championship.
If the final safety car had stayed out the regulated number of laps, Lewis would have been an 8-time world champion.
Absolutely right, Martin. But here, you want to tell us...
Mercedes played it cautious out front, but to release the lap cars and end the safety car and give us one racing lap. Wow, how quick.
Wow.
Did that turn around? What was Christian Horner saying to us? The racing gods.
Oh, so it's the racing gods now. Okay, so we're validating this with this notion of, oh, the magical racing gods in the sky that control everything. Yeah, the racing gods now we've got, is it Martin?
Need to shine down on us. They certainly did.
Oh, yes, the racing gods shone down on us.
We need a miracle, said Christian Horner. The miracle.
Crofty talking that we've seen a miracle. We've seen a miracle here, everybody. Look, everybody, we've just seen a miracle. No, we've just seen a contrivance. We've just seen a calculated fraud. Contrived. Okay, a contrived crash, a contrived commentary team, a contrived broadcaster in F1 TV contriving the footage to condition the narrative, a contrivance involving all of the teams who did just let it happen and didn't protest it and went along with it. Contrivance of Red Bull being the beneficiary of it, knowing what was going to happen. A contrivance of Mercedes allowing it. That fake last lap. And then we get the steward's appeal to complete the facade as well. But all the way along, the media is having to commentate on it, supposedly live, to validate it and condition us to accept it and condition us to make us believe that, oh, you've just witnessed one of the most incredible things ever. Oh, this is Formula One. It's only live once. Oh, spend your 40 quid on Sky Sports to watch this magical shit show because it's incredible. Everybody, Formula One. Oh, it's so incredible and exciting. Oh, it's brilliant. All bullshit, isn't it? It's all bullshit.
Arrived. Nicholas Latifi crashed. The safety car came out. The lapped cars were allowed to get out of the way.
The lapped cars were allowed to get out of the way. No. Crofty, it's nothing to do with being allowed to get out of the way. Okay, when Nicholas Latifi crashed, Lando Norris was trying to chase down Pierre Gasly to try at that stage gain 7th position in that race. He got 7th because Perez mysteriously retired. But Latifi crashes, causing the deployment of the safety car, meaning that Norris is held behind Hamilton. Gasly disappears off around the track. Norris can't compete with Gasly. Prior to the resumption of any form of racing, you have to release those lapped cars and afford them the opportunity to try and catch the back of the pack by keeping that safety car on track for a further lap. That's a minimum requirement, a mandatory procedure prior to the resumption of racing. But Crofty doesn't say that.
Christian Horner, the miracle arrived. Nicholas Latifi crashed, the safety car came out, the lapped cars were allowed to get out of the way.
The lapped cars were allowed to get out of the way.
Verstappen pitted for fresher tyres, and in the...
It didn't happen in that order, did it, Crofty? It didn't, because Verstappen pitted for fresher tyres on lap, 54? Yeah? And the lapped cars were allowed to get out of the way on lap, 57?
Of course.
Or 5 of the 8 were released. Okay? And the purpose isn't to be allowed to get out of the way. It was, well, it clearly was just getting them out of the way of a duel, which isn't allowed.
Of one racing lap, took the lead and kept it.
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
Christian Horner, you are a turd of a human being. A turd of a human being. Absolute scum. Okay? Absolute scum of mankind. Again, the kind of individual that will celebrate wildly a fake accomplishment. And that's what he is. Okay? Down there with the worst of mankind, he is.
Mate, you absolutely...
Oh, he absolutely deserved it.
Deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. You've had no luck. Not the...
You had no luck all season, Max. You had no luck all season. The stewards didn't let you off with running the other drivers off the track multiple times. Lewis Hamilton, it was mainly that you did it to. You know, such as Imola 2021. Spain was a bit dodgy 2021. Monza 2021, he ran him off at one of the chicanes and then landed up on his head at another chicane. He actually caused the crash at Silverstone, chopping across the front of Lewis Hamilton. Where else did Max have no luck all year? Because he didn't get penalised for any of that. He had no luck all year at Brazil when he ran Lewis Hamilton off the track. Okay, but Karun Chandok will tell you that Max is the expert of the rules, because nowhere does it say that the car on the inside has to remain on the track, says Karun at COTA 2024. He had no luck at Brazil. He had no luck at Saudi when, again, he runs Lewis Hamilton off the track. That was one of the infringements. That was disgusting what he did to him at turn 1 there. He went off the track at turn 1, re-entered the track in an unsafe manner, causing Lewis Hamilton have to take evasive action, dropping Lewis Hamilton down a place behind Esteban Ocon. The race then got red flagged very shortly afterwards, and Red Bull get to negotiate the grid order. You had no luck all year. You should have got a penalty for re-entering the track in an unsafe manner. But no, you got to negotiate the restart grid. We'll accept that as long as Lewis Hamilton's not on pole. And then you brake tested Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, you had no luck all year. You didn't get black flagged for brake testing Lewis Hamilton. France, you rejoined the track without doing what the race director told you in the pre-race notes was the manner which you had to re-enter the track by going through the array of cones if you went off at turn 1/turn 2. You didn't do that. You didn't get a penalty, but you had no luck all year, Max. You had no luck all year. What else did he do? He would have done more, no doubt. This is Supermax. He actually crowded Lewis Hamilton off the track. Lap 1, Abu Dhabi. He's got to give that place back. He had no luck all year. No, that's called crowding off the track. Go back to Austria 2021. See which drivers receive 5-second penalties for crowding their opponent off the track, not leaving them track room. Okay, I've probably forgotten a few. You know, there were quite a few, weren't there? There were quite a few. Anyway, we will carry on.
Up in the grid. Recharge on, please. Recharge on. Max, we are so proud of you.
Oh my God, guys. I love you so much.
You have driven like a champion all year. You deserve.
You're driven like a champion all year. Now, you know, I've been watching Formula One since, you know, mid-80s or so. And I didn't watch every season avidly. Certainly the early 2000s, I wasn't watching, and kind of early kind of 2010s, I wasn't watching that much of it. But the champions that I saw didn't run their other opponents off the track frequently. They didn't brake test their opponents frequently. They didn't drive in the manner that Max Verstappen drove. But they describe Max's driving as driving like a champion all year. No, I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it.
Deserve that. We needed a bit of luck. You got it.
We needed a bit of luck. A bit of luck, says Christian. A bit of luck from the racing gods. You know, manufactured crash. All of the other teams being complicit with the rules being broken and shh, don't say anything about it. A bit of luck with Mercedes agreeing to it. Yeah, we'll retire Perez. You get the $177 million for winning the Constructors' Championship. And we'll get Max winning this last lap shootout, which will contrive to excite the kiddies. Cha-ching. Everybody wins because the sport grows with the number of fans who have become excited and aroused by the show that we've just put on for everybody. You couldn't make it up, could you? Yes, because you did. And that's exactly what you did.
Made it happen. And we love you. We absolutely love you.
And we're going to pretend that this is an authentic sporting accomplishment. That's the kind of turd this man is.
I think a bit of luck, lifetime supply of luck, might just have come Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
So, Crofty can't tell you that it was wrong. Just describes it as a lifetime supply of luck.
Way. Ted Kravitz down in the pit lane. Well, emotions after.
So, this is the first bit. We've had Brundle, we've had Crofty. This is the first bit where we start identifying this was wrong. This was wrong. But we cut to Ted, the guy who plays the character of the village idiot. Okay, so Brundle's the expert, Crofty's the big loud mouth. Oh, get you all excited by talking at 100 miles an hour, really loud and shouting at you because Formula One's a high-paced, fast-moving sport, so you got to speak really fast because that's the speed that you got to speak out to talk about Formula One. Because you can't just talk about Formula One like this, because that doesn't excite the kiddies, does it? Okay, when you're talking about Formula One, you have to talk at the same speed as the car, and you have to say it's like this, because otherwise people don't get excited by it. All right, just thought I'd put that in there, just so you're all aware. Anyway, we cut to the village idiot in the pits.
Emotion after emotion.
It's pandemonium. Christian Horner is crying his eyes out. Jos Verstappen is already...
Christian's crying.
Wearing a Max Verstappen World Champion t-shirt, and at the Mercedes garage, they are shell-shocked. Toto Wolff has just dropped his head. He can't believe it. He's talking to Susie Wolff, his wife. They're all asking each other what is going on. They're shaking their heads. They are in disbelief.
2 seconds, Ted.
It is unbelievable, guys. Can we do this for another 10, 50 years together?
Lovely.
Right, honestly.
Honestly, the irony.
They're in disbelief at Mercedes. Horner has got...
Now, I need to keep stopping this because things like that tune playing in the background is likely to get stuff like this blocked on copyright. Even that Max Verstappen, you are the world champion. The world champion. That's copyrighted. So this video might get blocked just because of that. We'll see.
Gone up to the Mercedes pit wall to shake hands with anyone he can find.
Horner's gone to shake hands with anybody at Mercedes he can find, rubbing their noses in it. But that's the kind of turd Horner is. But Mercedes were complicit. Not everybody at Mercedes would have known. Most employees of these teams wouldn't have known. It had only been the top 4 or 5 at each of those teams that would have really known. It would have filtered down to all the rest of the team. Well, I say that. A lot of them are still oblivious. There's still a lot of deadheads that work in the sport that actually don't understand what was really going on.
Getting a handshake, but it's not very warm. Mercedes absolutely have no idea what has just gone on. They are befuddled, the most befuddlement you can ever see, whereas it is all...
They're befuddled. Now, this wasn't the clip I was expecting from Kravitz. Hopefully that will come shortly. This is where he's saying Mercedes are befuddled. They don't understand. Nobody can understand. Oh, we could. Watching that live, I said immediately, even before he crossed the finish line, no, this won't stand. They're not allowed to be racing this lap. Okay, they will reinstate this. This is invalid. What you're seeing now, I was telling the people that I was watching it with, that this isn't valid. Okay, they cannot resume racing like that. So what they will do, they will acknowledge that and they will reinstate, because they can't do it like this. But Mercedes are befuddled. That team that's worth billions, they're all confused. They're befuddled.
Going off, that is a release of emotion, a release of pressure. They can't believe. Is it luck? Is it judgment? Is it the F getting the rub of the green?
Is it luck? Is it judgment? Is it getting the rub of the green? Look at how they're presenting this. Like I told you, there's a lot of people that they'll still have respect for Johnny Herbert. They'll still have respect for Kravitz, because they're the only two that have really been in any way tentatively outspoken about Abu Dhabi being wrong. But Kravitz is put there for a reason. He's not a former driver, so you've got the likes of Hill, Rosberg, Jensen Button that are they're asked for their opinions on the grounds that they're former world champions, so they're experts. Yeah, you'll listen to what they've got to say, because they clearly know what they're talking about, right? Brundle, former driver, the voice of the sport for the last 30 years. Crofty, the voice of the sport for over 10 years. Okay, Kravitz, yeah, he's been involved in the sport, but yeah, it's old chubby Ted, isn't he? Oh, the big teddy bear Ted that bumbles up and down the pit lane asking the silly questions, right? That's Ted. That's his role. Okay, Ted's notebook after the event, right? He's a sausage, isn't he? He's a socks and sandals man. All right, so this is Ted. He's not somebody that's going to give you like insightful information that all the others are going to kind of be seen as a more authentic source of information than Ted.
But they are absolutely shell-shocked at Mercedes, and they are in pieces, in tears of joy at Red Bull Racing.
Remember in 1989 when Arsenal went to Anfield needing a 2-0 win to win the title, and in the stoppage time Michael Thomas burst through on goal and it was all up for grabs now.
Nothing like that, Crofty.
But it wasn't Michael Thomas tonight. It might have been Michael Massey, but it was definitely Max Verstappen who burst through to take that win. And I might need to sit down for quite a while here, Martin Brundle, to just try...
I might need to sit down
and compute what has happened in the last 5 minutes.
To compute. No, we didn't need to sit down to compute. It's quite clear, isn't it? All right, you've got a procedure to carry out, and you didn't carry it out, and you set the race off, and that then changed the outcome. So you can't have it. It's quite simple, isn't it? prior to the resumption of racing, you've got to carry out that procedure. You didn't carry out that procedure, hence you can't resume racing. You did resume racing, that was an invalid restart. So whatever took place due to that invalid restart can't stand. Okay, you have to rewind to the point before the rules were broken and declare the race result there. There wasn't time to carry out that procedure, which had to be carried out before the race ended. That race could not resume in a racing fashion. That race had to proceed behind the safety car till the end of the lap 58. That would have been the earliest, it had there have been a lap 59, that the race could have resumed. But the end of lap 58 was the end of the race, so it is a safety car finish. That is quite simply all there is to it. Do you need to have a sit down to compute? No, you don't.
And he might need to sit down for the whole winter, because I'm not sure it's going to sink in for a while.
What happened is Red Bull played a smart hand using the...
Brundle the expert. What happened is Red Bull played a smart hand.
And then the chaos and controversy of Abu Dhabi.
One lap to decide the championship.
If the final safety car had stayed out the regulated number of laps, Lewis would have been an 8-time world champion.
Yes, Martin, but now you're telling us. Tell us, Martin.
Compute what has happened in the last 5 minutes, and he might need to sit down for the whole winter, because I'm not sure it's going to sink in for a while.
What happened is Red Bull played a smart hand using the same...
Red Bull played a smart hand. Red Bull played some clever cards. Red Bull had nothing to lose. Red Bull did nothing wrong. There's no misdemeanors on Red Bull. How much are they paying you, Martin?
Safety car facilities, and then they ended up...
With the safety car facilities. Safety car facilities. Safety car's not a facility, okay? It's not a convenience. Oh, yes, we'll play the Joker. We'll select the safety car. We'll use that facility. No. What it is, it's a safety measure. Okay, it's a safety measure that the race director has at his disposal to deal with a safety incident in the safest possible manner. It's not a facility.
On far better tyres.
Because I'm not sure it's going to sink in for a while.
What happened is Red Bull played a smart hand using the safety car facilities, and then they ended up on far better tyres, and Max lunged beautifully into turn 5.
And that lunged beautifully into turn 5. So you've completely ignored the procedure that needed to be carried out that wasn't carried out. Red Bull played a clever hand. They used the safety car facilities, and the lunge was beautiful. So we've just witnessed a sporting contrivance, and this is how the expert talks about it. In the immediate aftermath, as they're doing their cool down lamp, as they're getting out of their cars, as the fireworks are getting out, as Max Verstappen is jumping all over his team. Yeah, this is Brundle.
Managed to hang on through the rest of it. No DRS available for 2 laps after a safety car, so it's a straight fight down the...
Oh, I'm just speechless, Lewis. Absolutely speechless.
Bono is speechless. I'm not sure if Lewis Hamilton...
Bono is speechless. You know, again, had there been an authentic race engineer, then what you say on these broadcasts is, well, that's wrong. That's not allowed to happen. The regulations dictate that, because as a race engineer, you know, okay? You know what the regulations are, you know what they're for. The reason that you know is if you're the person in charge of working out strategy, you'll be the person determining whether or not you pit your driver with 5 laps of a Grand Prix to go, and there's lapped cars, and there's a safety car. You know whether or not you're going to bring your car in a risk losing track position or not. Because you know what the chance of a restart is, and you know whether or not you're going to lose track position and whether or not it's worth you risking it or not. So you do know Bono, but he's speechless. He can't say anything either.
Is talking to him or not. For a moment, and a brief moment, Hamilton felt that the crown was coming his way. Mercedes thought that the double world championship was coming their way. Those Dutch fans had pretty much given up hope. But in live sport, you never...
The crown. We haven't talked about record-breaking 8th world championship yet, have we? Just the crown.
Ever give up hope. You never leave before the end.
Oh, live sport. You never give up hope. You never leave before the end, because we get a dramatic finish at the end. Oh, this is drama. This is sport. It's only live once. You couldn't make it up. You did.
Because anything can happen.
Ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. When you listen to this bullshit, it is absolutely ridiculous.
And here in Abu Dhabi, it did tonight. Mercedes are Constructors' champions for a record-breaking 8th consecutive time, but...
What about Lewis Hamilton's record-breaking 8th Drivers' Championship that he's just been robbed out of?
It is not the double championship they so wanted. Verstappen...
Not the double. You've not used the term record-breaking 8th when you've spoken about Lewis Hamilton, have you? It's just double World Championship.
Beats Hamilton to the Drivers' Championship. He ends the run, doesn't he, of British and German champions in Formula One. Not since Kimi Räikkönen in 2007 have we had a non-Brit or German champion. There's Christian Horner to embrace his man in Parc Fermé, and everyone wants to join in the celebrations except those in the Mercedes garage.
Everybody, apart from Mercedes, is celebrating, apparently. What's going on there, then? What's going on there? I guarantee you that non-Lewis Hamilton fans, and there's plenty of people that don't like Lewis Hamilton for their reasons, and people can have their reasons, it's fine. But I guarantee you that there will be fans of the sport of Formula One who don't particularly like Lewis Hamilton, but they won't have been celebrating that because they'll know that it wasn't a valid outcome to a race. They'll know that that was a contrivance, so they weren't celebrating.
Carlos Sainz finished 3rd for Ferrari, is also on the podium. Yuki Tsunoda 4th, so 4th and 5th.
Carlos Sainz finished 3rd. I thought it was all about a duel, Martin. Okay, he's also on the podium. Yeah, he is in that race, wasn't he? But he wasn't able to challenge for the top 2. Why was that? Oh, because Daniel Ricciardo and Lance Stroll were in between Verstappen and Carlos Sainz in 3rd. So by the time that Carlos Sainz got to cross the start-finish line and begin that illegal last lap, Verstappen across the line, followed by approximately half a second later Ricciardo across the line, followed by approximately half a second later Stroll crossing the line, followed by approximately half a second later Carlos Sainz. So rather than him being just half a second behind Verstappen, in the way that this is typical on a safety car restart, all the field is bunched and they're all about half a second behind each other. No, he's kept back at least a second and a half. That's not affording him the same sporting chance, and that's protecting Max from being challenged from behind, isn't it?
AlphaTauri. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Perez pitted, retired from the race. Sainz said, thank you, I'll have a podium. Down to you, Ted.
Just asking around. I mean, the feeling at Mercedes...
So this was the bit that I thought was going to be the first time they cut to Ted, but it's this bit now.
Mercedes seems to be, well, hang on. There seems to be an abuse of the rules here. The rules...
Oh, the feeling at Mercedes is hang on. There appears to be an abuse of the rules. Absolutely right, Ted.
Have not been followed. Why were only 5 cars allowed to unlap themselves?
Yeah, that's part of it, okay, but that's not even the crux of the matter. It's still an important thing that had to happen, because by not releasing the other 3, you kept 2 in between Verstappen and Sainz, blocking off Sainz, and then the other one was in between Bottas and Tsunoda. But Tsunoda's on them fresh tyres was in the AlphaTauri, the Red Bull B team, was not only able to pass Mick Schumacher, he was also able to overtake Mercedes on old hard compound tyres that weren't as old as Lewis Hamilton's.
And then the race restarted. That's the point, isn't it? So Mercedes are thinking, well, hang on, the process was not followed here. It was not followed properly the way it always has been under safety cars, with lap cars being allowed to unlap themselves. Only 5 were, not the rest of them. And then the race was restarted, and they.
So even that's not an accurate reflection, okay? Only 5 were allowed to unlap themselves. They weren't allowed to unlap themselves, okay? 5 were waved past, but they weren't given the opportunity to make it around the track and try and catch the back of the safety car snake. They were at turn 5 when that illegal last lap resumed. So, you know,
I feel that's what's not fair. With lap cars being the point, isn't it? So the rules have not been followed. Why were only 5 cars allowed to unlap themselves?
Okay, the rules were not followed. Why were only 5 allowed to? They weren't even allowed to unlap themselves. You're not mentioning that the safety car has to, once he's waved them by, stay out on track for a further lap.
And then the race,
because that further lap is lap 58.
Restarted. That's the point, isn't it? So Mercedes are thinking, well, hang on, the process was not followed here. It was not followed properly the way it always has been under safety cars, with lap cars being allowed to unlap themselves. Only 5 were, not the rest.
So again, still part of the narrative. You know, they have to acknowledge the fans that know what they're talking about. Oh, look, Mercedes are saying this is wrong, and the fans are going, yeah, this is wrong. We know this is wrong. Ted's finally, somebody's saying that this is wrong, but he's not saying that the full scope of how wrong it is. He's just saying, no, only 5 were allowed to unlap themselves. They weren't allowed to unlap themselves. The safety car had to remain on track for a further lap. Are any of the experts saying this? Is Brundle saying this? Is Crofty saying this? Are any of the former world champions saying this? Or is it just the village idiot, socks and sandals man, Ted Kravitz in the pits? Hang on a minute. Mercedes think that this is all wrong. Only 5 were allowed to unlap themselves. Not how it is, Ted.
Rest of them, and then the race was restarted, and they feel that's what's not fair.
That's how they feel. It's not about feelings. It's about facts. Okay? It's a fact that the regulation wasn't carried out, and it's a fact that it's not fair because it didn't restore sporting fairness to all competitors, and that's what you have to do prior to the resumption of racing. So, no, it's not fair. It's not about how Mercedes feel. It's just not allowed.
All I can assume is that...
Oh, Crofty's making an assumption. So what do Red Bull want? Do they want the chance or they're not? They're not. Because being objectively, this is going to be the best chance for them if they want it, says Crofty.
Michael Massey, the race director, wanted to give this race every chance to end as a race.
Michael Massey, the race director, wanted to give this race every chance of ending as a race. That's not how it works. Okay? Oh, this football referee, he wanted to give this match every chance of ending as a football match. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, because it was 1-1, he wanted to play another 20 minutes extra to see if one of the teams would score. Because he wanted the crowd to be aroused and excited. No, it's not how it works, okay? You got rules. game's played over 90 minutes. You've got a bit of stoppage time added on. The referee, you can't freestyle it, break the rules and say, oh, I'm just going to keep playing until somebody scores. Because I'm the kind of referee that wants to see this game of football end as a game of football. That's not how it works. But that's what Crofty's assuming. You know, the again, expert commentator assuming that, oh, I'm going to make an assumption that the race director's breaking the rules because he wanted to give you all a spectacle. That's not allowed, is it? That's not authentic sport. That's a show. That's a contrivance.
Not behind the safety car. We've had races end behind the safety car before. We've had championships
Yes, we've got to give a nod to that.
won behind the safety car before, but he wanted to ensure that we got at least one lap of racing. And
he wanted to ensure we got at least one lap of racing. Now we had 53 laps of racing. Okay, we got 53 laps of racing. There was a few that were under virtual safety car, right? And what we saw in those 53 laps of racing is that one car was pissing all over the other one. Yeah? Cruising to victory. A record-breaking 8th World Championship. Oh, but what the race director wanted to ensure was that we'd get one lap of racing. Yeah. In those conditions, where we completely screwed one driver over and completely advantaged the other. We wanted to see that race, didn't we? Is all I can assume. That's what the race director wanted. Red Bull played some clever cards. Red Bull had nothing to lose. Red Bull did nothing wrong.
by allowing those lapped cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen to unlap themselves, that was the best chance for it to happen. But
that was the best chance for it to happen. Look at them validating it. Okay? For them to unlap themselves. They didn't unlap themselves. Okay? What was the problem? If you're not allowed, you have to perform the mandatory safety car lap anyway. Okay? You have to do that. So the race was going to be a safety car finish. By doing it, they did it wrong anyway. So what I'm gonna say is, there's no point in me saying it because there's no point in following through because it's wrong. However, you just go with it. He released 5 of 8. There was still time for the other 3 to be released. Okay, so and it's ending. Wow, as they went around turn 9. All right, so. Why could they not have also released the other 3? Because certainly by the end of the lap, them cars would have passed the leader. Was it because they wouldn't be far enough out of the way? Who knows? What it did ensure, though, was that it separated out just first and second, and therefore second, Verstappen, was protected from being challenged from behind. Gave him a free hit. But don't describe it as those 5 cars that were released as being allowed to unlap, because they weren't allowed to unlap. They were just released. They weren't afforded the time to try and make it around the track with the intention, making every effort to join up with the back of the safety car snake. They weren't afforded that opportunity.
one stage, lapped cars weren't overtaking and unlapping themselves, and then a few moments later they were.
And that's not allowed. There's a reason that lapped cars aren't allowed to unlap. That's because it's not safe to do so. There were marshals on the track. I've showed you that in the videos. Okay, there were marshals on the track, so you can't perform the procedure until the track is declared safe by the clerk of the course. That wasn't safe until lap 57. Lap 57, you can then give the order to release those cars. But once the last lapped car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So if the order's given on lap 57, only 5, so the 8th of 8th was never past the safety car, so the procedure didn't happen how it should have done in terms of only 5 were released, so it's invalid. Rules are broken on lap 57. But the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap. Safety car finish.
Toto Wolff is absolutely furious and is now walking out of the back of the garage, and nobody, I think, wants to say a word to the Mercedes team principal. We'll begin.
Is that furious that rather than go to the steward's appeal, I think he was getting his pre-drinks in so that he could go crowd surfing later on that night, partying like it was 1999, okay? Furious.
Getting reaction from Mercedes.
Or befuddled, as Ted would say.
As soon as he's able to talk.
Oh, we will be.
I'm sure. I'm sure they will have a lot to say. I'm sure Red Bull will have a lot to say and celebrate. Sergio Perez, who did such a sterling job for his teammate tonight, is down there to join in the celebration. Sebastian Vettel, who shared some great rivalry with Lewis Hamilton over the years, comes over, as does Mick Schumacher, to say sorry that it worked out the way it did for you. Max Verstappen is the 2021 World Championship on the track, and Lando Norris has smiles for him. Well, the dream is realised. He said it early on, I want to be world champion, and it's happened.
Yeah, a lot of people dream, okay? But not everybody's good enough to make you know, we can all aspire to something, but not everybody's good enough to accomplish it, are they? Max wasn't. Oh, the young lad dreamed. Isn't it marvellous for Max? He absolutely deserved it. He had no, you've just gifted it him.
For him.
And defrauded us. No, don't like it.
But
not having it.
Honestly, it had to
honestly
happen in circumstances like this, Martin, because anything else wouldn't have been befitting of the season that we've just had.
Yes, we had to make it up because it wouldn't have been befitting of the rest of the season that we also made up.
Best season I've ever commentated on.
Best season that Martin's ever commentated on. Oh, kids, stay aroused for this. Martin, this is the best that he's ever seen as well. Oh, just like Max is the best driver we've all ever seen, everybody. Kids, stay aroused. Max is the best you've ever seen. Oh, Max is incredible. Oh, it's all right. Don't speak with your mouth full, lad. Don't speak with your mouth full.
A quarter of a century in the wildest finale. Max Verstappen said to us in interviews, hey, it won't change my life. I'll be world champion one day. But his team...
You never know. He might become a world champion one day. Hasn't accomplished one yet, but you never know. At some point he might. But he'd have to get a supremely fast, legal car to have any chance of becoming a world champion. Because in equal machinery, the other drivers have got the measure of him.
And his emotion show you that underneath it's a different story. And wow, well, there'll be a lot of controversy about that run into the final lap. Safety car not allowing the lap runners through, allowing some of them through, and then ending all in one go. And
oh, a lot of controversy in the run-in to the final lap. What's the controversy in the run-in to the final lap? There's no controversy in the run-in to the final lap. All you need to do is look at the cameras at turn 14 and you will see how long the cleanup operation on Latifi's car is taking. Now, they won't show us that, so I showed it you using the in-car camera from Latifi's car. And it showed you that even on lap 56, and was it on lap 57? It was on lap, whatever lap it was, 56 or 57, there's Marshall still on the track. It was no, that was it. I showed you when they're going down between turn 5 and turn 6 on lap 56, and lapped cars are not going to be allowed to overtake, which means, right, doesn't mean that. I clicked to Nicholas Latifi's camera and there's still marshals on the track. They then show us as the cars are coming on lap 56, as they're going by turn 14, we can actually see the marshals in the orange overalls jumping over the barrier. So therefore, there's no way that the clerk of the course is going to hand back to race control prior to that. Whilst marshals are on the track sweeping up, the clerk of the course is not going to hand back to the race director and say, yes, I've checked the track and we're good to go again. Because we're not good to go. He can only do that on lap 57. So that's the situation. So why is Martin saying, oh, there's going to be a lot of controversy in the lead up? Well, no. There's been a safety incident. It's taken time to clear it up. Okay, these things do take time. You've got to get a crane out there to remove the car. You've got to sweep the debris off. You've got to check the barriers. The extra complication with that situation was the car set on fire. So you had to extinguish the fire, and that also meant you had to sweep up the fire extinguisher powder, requiring extra time to clear it up. It was only maybe an extra minute or two. So you're not going to red flag it on that grounds because it's an extra minute of clear up time or extra 2 minutes of clear up time. But that's what it takes. Okay, that's just what it is. There's not a lot of controversy. That's what unfolded. Safety car finish. The controversy is them breaking the rules of the sport, and that changed the outcome of that event. That changed the outcome of the World Championship. That's not valid. Simple.
Suddenly, you had Lewis on hard tyres, have been on since lap 14, and Max on a set of fresh, soft tyres. Red Bull playing their opportunities there brilliantly, it must be said.
Red Bull playing their opportunities brilliantly.
And, well, I don't think Lewis could have done anything about that at all.
Jenson Button is down in Parc Ferme as Lewis Hamilton comes to embrace Max Verstappen and say well done at the end of the season. Let's hear from the new champion.
Max Verstappen, you are a Formula One world champion.
Thanks for that, Jensen. Thanks for that. So, again, the contrivance took place in front of our very eyes. The crash took place, a contrivance. F1 TV showed us what it wanted to show us. Didn't show us what was really going on at turn 14. Didn't give us a clear picture of how long it was taking to clear that up. Interjected with the messages from the teams to the drivers to direct the narrative and make us believe things to be a certain way. Martin Brundle and David Croft were constantly in our ears, making us believe it to be a certain way. The contrivance occurred. Max Verstappen was then enabled to win that last lap shootout that should have never taken place because they'd broken the rules to set that up. And then the commentary teams just go, wow, we just witnessed a miracle. It's only live once. Never switch off from live sport. Oh, there's a bit of controversy here because only 5 cars were allowed to unlap themselves, and that's not normal. And just Mercedes, they think that that's wrong, but everybody else is celebrating. Wow, that's not authentic, is it? That's not authentic. Because what is authentic is when something is wrong, when the rules are broken, the experts say, well, that's not allowed to happen. That is not allowed to happen. This is why it's not allowed to happen. We've just had to neutralise racing due to a safety concern. When the race is neutralised, we proceed behind the safety car at a safe speed, enabling marshals to be on track, cranes to be on track to remove all the debris off the track, sweep it all up and make conditions safe again. Prior to the resumption of racing, we have to carry out this mandatory procedure to restore sporting fairness to all competitors, because due to the deployment of that safety car, outcomes become skewed. Norris, from being 12 seconds behind Gasly, is now a lap behind Gasly. We cannot enable that situation to happen, hence we have regulations lapped cars, Norris being the first of those, are released. They're afforded at least one further lap of that safety car, lapping at slower speed, with which those released cars to travel around that track and make every effort to link up with the back of that safety car snake. Then we can resume that race, having neutralised it for all competitors and reset that, essentially that scratch position for all competitors prior to the resumption of racing. But they don't tell you that. They tell you it's to get them out of the way, because the fundamental point of that rule is so that they don't get in the way of a duel at the end of a Grand Prix, is what Martin will tell us tomorrow, the 13th of the 12th, 2021, when he's there to validate it. That's not authentic, is it? So, we then had the Mercedes appeal. But that is what we were greeted with in commentary after the race. Nobody could identify what was truly wrong. This is how we are mind conditioned. The mind conditioning machine lies. Not a single media outlet has broken this down and can articulate it in clear terms in the manner in which I attempt to. Why? Why can nobody tell anybody the purpose of that safety car regulation and why it is they had to perform that mandatory safety car lap? Lots of people getting paid lots of money to parrot the same narrative. Lots of people, corrupt people, lying and taking the money. That's what it is. That's what it is. And instead, what do you get? You got the people campaigning for truth that are restricted to the likes of social media, YouTube, where YouTube will decide how many people get to see what truth is being presented because of their mystery algorithm. Well, it's my fault if the truth doesn't get heard by people. They don't have any control of that with their mystery formula, do they? No, of course not. Of course not. If you've made it this far, maybe you can help. Maybe you can share the content. Maybe you can share the video, start waking people up. Because that's the way that it's going to happen, is if you can share it with people. Share it with the people that are close to you. Anybody that you know that likes Formula One and would like to know more about what took place about Abu Dhabi, share it with them, and hopefully we'll get the spread that way, word of mouth. Okay, because again, posting stuff on your own social media, it's likely to be filtered out. You can post things on Facebook, for example, and many of your so-called Facebook friends, that won't come up on their feeds. So again, who's censoring that? Who really gets to see the things that you're posting? If it's not what they want you to be posting, oh, yeah, nobody saw that. Funny, isn't it? Oh, that's the mystery algorithm. That's a mystery algorithm. Anyway, that will do on this video. This is all part of the end of race, the interim period, and then the steward's appeal. But it's imperative that we have this timeline of what was taking place to condition our minds about that. And then we'll get the notion, oh, yes, Mercedes are going to appeal, because they had to. And the reason they had to is they had to put on the facade. It was a facade, okay? It was for the likes of the long-standing fans of the sport that knew it was wrong and knew that this is what Mercedes had to do. Had Mercedes have just capitulated and accepted it without the appeal, then we'd have all known immediately that this was corrupt then. But they put on the facade, and many people believed it to be okay. And then, rather than follow through with yet a further appeal, which they should have done, okay, and had any form of non-corrupt governing body would have clearly just overturned the result. FIA, they're corrupt. They wouldn't have. But you'd have exposed. Well, just do a video like I do. Mercedes have got their own social media platforms. where millions of people tune in, and they could quite easily speak the truth. This is what has happened here, everybody. This is why they need to do the unlapping procedure. They've just set that up. This is a corrupt sport. Mercedes could have easily done that. And what? The FIA go, oh, you can't call us corrupt. We'll get our lawyers onto you. We'll sue you for calling us corrupt. No, well, you're corrupt. You've just contrived that. You've just broken your rules. And then when we've appealed to tell you that you've broken your rules, you've rejected the appeal. But that's corruption. There's no valid reason for rejecting that appeal. There's no valid reason for breaking the rules. There's no valid reason for rejecting the appeal. So what have you done? You've fixed your result by breaking the rules. That's a fraud. That's corruption. And you think you can threaten me with your lawyers? Ooh. What? What are you going to do? Send me a letter threatening that you're going to take me to court and it will cost me a lot of money. Really? Really? Well, maybe in a corrupt court. But no, not in a valid court. And if, you know, we're supposed to have this European Court of Human Rights, we're supposed to have some levels of court which do have integrity, with supposedly. Yet to see it. We'll have to see if it works. We'll have to see if it works. But we'll get there. We'll get there. In more ways than one. More to come. Anyway. Yeah, Mercedes had the ability to expose all this. They never have. They never have. They're complicit. But they had to put on the facade of going through the motions of the appeal. Toto Wolff didn't go to it. Instead, as part of the facade, they took with them to that event a barrister. Because again, when you hear the word barrister, you think, oh, a legal expert. Oh, and if a legal expert can't overturn this, then, oh, it just must be super complicated. Mercedes are probably thinking that it's on dodgy ground, that they may or may not have a case. That's what they want you to believe. That's what the facade was. That was what the facade was. So we'll get to that. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to play through the rest of this bullshit now, and just to see if there's anything more to pick out in terms of what was said in between. Well, at the tail end of this live feed going out on the telly, and I'll make a little video if there's anything further that's important. But if there's not, the next video will be addressing what took place in the Stewards' appeal. Thank you for your time.